All right, so now that we've installed Visual Studio, again, that may take a hour or so depending on your computer, network speed. But once it's done and you open it up, you should see a screen like this. And there's some options on the right side. We're not going to worry about all of these right now. What we want to pick is this one right here, which is create a new project. And this will allow us to have Visual Studio build out a full solution. And a solution is what you would think of as being like all the parts of a program. And this could be anything from a website to like some kind of desktop app to even an application running on a server that you don't ever see as a user. But right now we'll go ahead and do create a new project. So click. And we'll see all these options for project templates. There's various configurations, various languages you can run and write this in and so on. But what we're going to do right now is pick at the very top console app. And you want to make sure it's going to be a C# console app as indicated by this C# badge right here. And also you see like a tiny green C# up here as well. So click on this, come down and click next. And we'll choose a name for it. Let's go with Intro to Variables. We'll do Intro to Code. And you can pick any name you want to for this. It doesn't matter. Just as long as it's something you can remember and it's clear how you're trying to use it. One other point is you can change the location if you want to. There's a default location in your user directory. You can also change the solution name. For right now, though, we'll just leave these as they come. And last here, you can also opt to place solution project in the same directory. For our purposes right now, it doesn't really matter how we have the structure because we'll only be using the main project. So we'll go down and we'll click next again. And we'll see an option here for the framework. Generally, if you've just installed Visual Studio 2022, you'll see .NET 6.0. Let me explain that briefly. There's various versions of .NET. And .NET is I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it, but like it's the runtime which your code is run with. So if you want to run a .NET application, you have to have a .NET runtime installed on your computer. Again, right now the version doesn't matter. If you're using 2022, they'll default to 6. 6 is kind of like the latest version that's being widely used in the programming world right now, or at least the latest version. So go ahead, come down and click Create. And once we create the application, you'll see it doing creating a project right here. And what this is doing is building out all the files that you need to run the program. And so you come up, you'll have Visual Studio right here. And before we go on, I want to give a brief tour of what you'll see in Visual Studio. Again, this is what's called an IDE, which means Integrated Development Environment. And that's kind of a fancy way of just saying, hey, this is something that we can use to write and run computer code. In this case, again, we'll be doing C# as our language choice. So if we look around a little bit right here, we'll see like a number of options up here at the top. I'll explain what some of these do later, but for right now, we'll keep it pretty simple. So the only thing we really need to care about right here is this button that says Intro to Code. And it may change depending on if you named your project and solution differently. But you should still see this option up here for like a little green arrow in the name of your project. And so if you click on this, what will happen is that the application will run. In this case, I'll pop up a little console window that says Hello World. So we'll go ahead and give that a shot right now. Running. And so what will happen is the computer will take the code it's given, and it will go ahead and compile that, which means basically it takes the text on the screen and it converts it to something that the computer can understand and run at that point. So whatever we type in here, Visual Studio will clump all these together and convert them to a program that the computer could then run. Since we're using a console app, we don't have any fancy UI with this, and it'll come up with this little console right here. One thing to note right here is debug, and so we're running anything in a debug mode. It allows us kind of to step into the code and see, what values things are, see where errors are, and stuff like that. And over here, see Hello World. And most programs, most programming languages will always have a Hello World example of some sort. And it seems a little bit trivial just to display something like that on the screen. Why can't we do something more interesting? But generally speaking, a hello world is simply a term for creating a very basic program that the computer can run and display. And this lets us know that, the environment's working, like we have our runtimes in place, everything's building, and the computer knows how to run this. If we had a mistake of some sort, we would have seen probably some kind of error pop up on the screen. But for right now, we see the hello world, we know this is working. So in the next video, I'll actually go into explaining what some of the other parts of Visual Studio are, and then we'll go ahead and take the example code here and change it around a little bit. Until next time.